So, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to warn you that this is a little bit of a difficult subject to discuss and talk about, and that's something I just want to get out there for you all to be prepared for. However, this caught my attention due to this program that the VA is launching, and I really think it needs some awareness. And I'd love to hear everybody's thoughts on it once we get through this. So the VA is launching a $20 million innovation challenge to reduce veteran suicide. It's called Mission Daybreak, and the idea is to award people money for those who win the top concepts to reduce veteran suicide. $3 million and $1 million are, I think, the top prizes, and then they're giving out $250,000 and $100,000, I think $100,000 different prizes. So be sure to look at the website. I'll have the link in the description for that. The idea is to take these outside options and bring them into the government since veteran suicide has not really gotten better. Their goal is to reduce it by 10% with one of these ideas. But jumping into the weeds and jumping into where did this all come from, we're taking a look at 2019 is the number that the VA really loves to throw around because it shows that there was a decline in suicides that year by 399. And suicide prevention is not something that is new to the government or the VA. You know, the VA launched its suicide prevention program in 2007 with the Veteran Crisis Phone Line, and then take it back to even 2001, and that's when the U.S. Surgeon General had their first national strategy for suicide prevention. You know, what is hard about these programs, though, is that the government is supposed to take all of this complex data, vastly different veterans with different situations, and come up with an answer that's going to catch all of it. Instant gratification society, then, has made us all want answers all the time, and easy ones that can be pointed to the answers that give people peace. And what I mean by peace is that they know that they have a known answer, even if it doesn't solve the root of the problem. Now, this isn't the only focus. You know, they do have in their outline a hope to improve responses to veterans in crisis and supporting veterans in their transition from active duty to veteran status. So what I want to say is this. When I receive a phone call from the VA, it is incredibly challenging to feel as though I am being taken care of. You know, I know there are plenty of people out there that do care and work their job. However, when you're on the phone with someone who's clearly reading from a piece of paper to ensure you're doing okay on your transition, it's really hard to feel like they care. The lack of inflection in the voice, and it's very monotone reading of the script, or memorization of said things that they're required to ask due to the box checks, it just makes it incredibly hard to feel like you're truly engaged with that person. The best analogy I can give to people who don't really understand what I mean is, imagine an organization that is required to call someone to see how you're doing after your pet dies. They then ask,
how's it going from having a pet to not having a pet? We have other pets available. Here's a list of everything we have.
What are you doing now that you don't have a pet? You know, we will send you 20 emails in 1 minute on different pets or things to do if you're upset you lost your pet, or who to talk to if you want a new pet. You're not going to feel like sharing anything about how you feel about that said pet if you feel like they're doing it for the sake of the job, corporation, or just checking a box because they're required to. There's no engagement in that conversation, and the person on the other line often sounds just as disinterested in the conversation as you will feel. The tone is set, and therefore people just want to get off the line as quickly as possible. Now rewind it back. So the VA is launching a $20 million innovation challenge to reduce veteran suicide. This is all part of the 10-year plan that the VA has launched, which started in 2018 and will extend until 2028. Within this 10-year plan that they have a 42-page document that you can check out that covers the national strategy for preventing veteran suicide. Now, there's a lot of information over this, trust me, but to gloss over a majority of it, I broke this down into some simplistic topics that they were covering. So veteran suicide rate is high, 32 per 100,000 people compared to 17 per 100,000 people among the non-veteran adult community. An average of 20 veterans take their lives each day, and there are roughly 93 suicides a day of non-veteran adults. 18 to 29 years of age is the highest rate of suicide, and approximately 65% of all veterans who died by suicide were 50 or older. Now, the reason that is because of the larger veteran population that is out there past that age. Now, the last one that I want to talk a little bit about is that 67% of all veteran suicides were from firearms. The VA wants to better address firearm and lethal means safety, and the one thing I am not going to get into is gun control. Comments, leave that out. This is not what we're going to be discussing. This is strictly what the VA is talking about and my take. Now, this could mean multiple things, right? Safe storage of firearms, more information on firearm usage, etc. But please explain to me how this makes sense. Like, seriously, I am all for proper storage of firearms, don't get me wrong. But when you have someone who is trained on a firearm, especially from at least my background, I can only speak from the Army background where we had weeks worth of firearm training and safety, and that's applied literally everywhere that you go when you have a firearm. It's drilled into your head that you have second nature on firearm safety. You basically understand everything on that firearm before you're even using it as well. I feel more safe with firearms now that I have training within the military than I did before I had joined. Now, my point is this. The VA seems to look at the data and say, you know, we have a majority of veterans using firearms. we should take a look at helping promote firearm safety because that is clearly the problem. This is an extremely odd way of looking at this in my opinion. The problem is that this is a bandage to a wound that needs stitches. It will continue to bleed. People want to feel like they're being taken care of one way or another, spiritually, physically, mentally, emotionally, etc. When the VA puts this information out saying that firearm safety is the answer, a majority of veterans are just going to feel as though it's just another box check to the problem. This isn't new either, this whole idea. It's the same reason why we have SHARP EO suicide prevention training. How do you take a person, turn them into a soldier, and have them adhere to every single thing that the Army wants them to in 10 weeks of basic training when they've been brought up for 17 years at a minimum in whatever environment they came from? They have their own morals, values, and beliefs of a person that is just not suddenly going to change in 10 weeks of a basic training program that the Army wants. And yes, you can argue leaders within that organization are supposed to find those soldiers that need some extra assistance or those problem soldiers and help them get right. However, within the veteran community, I think a lot of this stems from the idea that we see multiple training sessions such as SHARP EO suicide prevention, and then you're still seeing SHARP cases, EO cases, and suicides within your unit. So what's the answer? What everyone's going to be looking for an answer on this. I'm laying out these problems. What could we do? And to be honest, I really don't know if I have one. I most definitely have an idea, but I don't know if it could truly be implemented. My best analogy I can use for this is, when you go to the doctor, you just have that super stellar and awesome primary care manager. You can tell that they're listening to you. You feel like they are wanting to get you healthy and that they're listening to the concerns that you're bringing to the table. However, I'm sure that you've also been on the flip side, where you have an awful doctor or primary care manager who just does the exact opposite and does not seem to care or listen to you. End of the day, people want to be cared for. They want to know that their worries, fears, concerns, and health problems are being met. And when you're in the military, almost everything is team-based. It may not always be the best team, and the VA is the same way. However, why is it that as soon as you join the veteran community and the organization that literally has veteran in it, it doesn't always feel like you are a part of that team? When you're in the military, you see on everybody's chest the organization that you belong to. However, I don't feel that belonging all the time within the veteran community. So the partial solution is making that effort to feel as though those outreach calls that you get on even just the transitions is engaging. I get it. People are human, man. We aren't perfect. We're going to get into that routine, and talking with another number on the sheet on who you're supposed to reach out to is going to get monotonous. Oh, look, I'm on number 200 for the day, and we're saying the exact same things. I understand that. However, if we look at the baby steps to make partial change in an attempt to win over veterans' trust, that trust is going to come with the small things, which will then translate into the big things, such as these programs where people will believe the things that they're being told. And I think that's really where this breaks down to, is trust. Having trust that the VA will take care of that veteran, having trust that this program will work. And right now, seeing a lot of the different stories that come out and the VA and people not getting care as quickly as they should, I've been on the receiving end of that. And I've seen my father have to be put on the sideline for hernia surgery, waiting and watching him struggle to walk upstairs. It's frustrating. So that was even before I had even joined the military when I saw that. So the trust needs to be there. And right now, there seems to be a big lack of trust. Now, this program, where if they pick something from outside of the organization and people are able to work with them, that is a great idea in my opinion, because they're taking things outside of the box and bringing them in to that organization to see what they can do. And that feels great as a veteran, being able to see that they are working towards something like that. However, I'm just worried about the implementation, as we've seen with just the example of the firearm one. Doesn't seem to make sense to me at all. Now, big thing, I'm not an expert or professional in the medical field. I have talked with many veterans, and much of what I've expressed is not entirely out of left field for them. And I'd love to hear if you're a veteran, or even on the civilian side, I would love to hear what you have to say about this. And I know this isn't an easy topic, but I really think it's one that needs to be discussed and needs to put awareness out there for people. If they do have great ideas for this, then it needs to get out there. Ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate you all. Take it easy, take care, stay safe out there. We will hopefully see you in the next video. Otherwise, I stream Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, 7:30 p.m. Central Time over at twitch.tv/SergeantMadmax. Appreciate you all, and we'll see you in the next one.
I get the shivers whenever I'm thinking about you. Just wanna live and live without you.